getting enslaved to debt, that's an aspect of capitalism. And I wasn't born into Islam. Submitting to a higher power. We're born with that innately. The prophets have always come from their people.
You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
You don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
If this was a movie, you'd be like, oh my God, like, it's fucking dope. Being a musician and being an artist in general, because this was the calling, music industry, acting industry, and wanted to give America the gold and the oil. Only Islamophobes and Zionists say it that way. So yeah, but clearly I'm not one of those. What's up, guys? My name is Jovian. This is Crescent Cross Covenant Coalition. I don't know if I sound more like a man or if I just sound like Squidward, but I am unfortunately not feeling too well, but it's okay. I still have to come on here and talk with you guys. To my Muslims, Salaam Alaikum. I realize I haven't been saying that. Please comment, like, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. I'm in a slightly new position right now. It's raining outside, so I didn't want to be wet in my usual spot. But yeah, I still wanted to come on and talk to you guys. I've been getting even more, I could say hate, or maybe it would be critiques from the Muslim community about my takes on socialism and capitalism, I guess. I mean, a lot of people are obviously engaging with the shorts more. And I found a lot of people who, like, they hear or see my critique on socialism and they automatically think, oh, he's a capitalist, you know. But I can be against something. So, like, let's say in this case, I can be against socialism. That doesn't mean I'm for its opposite. You know, there's a world that's not black and white, and that's the world we exist in. It's varying shades of gray. So I don't with socialism in any way in terms of the ideology, though there are a lot of aspects to it that not only do I agree with, but it's in Islam. Same way there are aspects of capitalism that I with and appreciate, though that align with Islam as well. You know, but let's say something like usury, right, interest, and, you know, getting enslaved to debt. That's an aspect of capitalism that is not only something I'm against, but it's also not permissible in Islam. So again, if I'm against socialism, that doesn't mean I'm for its opposite. I can't even believe I have to say that. Another thing I saw that was quite fun is the critique of me saying Islam instead of Islam, right? Islam, there's a few other words. In case you weren't aware of my accent, or you haven't seen some of my other content, I am a New Yorker, right? I am an American New Yorker. So, and I wasn't born into Islam. I don't know how that's not clear, but also with the things I'm sharing and preaching and condoning and exposing to the Western world, I would assume, just from absorbing some of my content, you would see I'm Muslim. So for people saying it's like, someone said me saying Islam is like the way Islamophobes or Zionists say Islam in a like a mocking way. But in some of the same videos where I might say Islam with a Z, you would see I'm not mocking Islam. I'm not mocking Islam. You know, clearly I'm not knocking it in any way. I'm being attacked for my views that align with Islam. So how could I be mocking it in any way? More importantly, if you were born into Islam, alhamdulillah, that's incredible, right? I wasn't, even though of course I get, we are all born Muslim, right? Like in Muslim doctrine, we're all born Muslim, meaning we all have this innate feeling that there is a creator and that we must submit and serve that creator, and then it gets removed from us, or that void is filled with the proper Islam, the the religious faith, but the act of submitting to a higher power. We're born with that innately. But in terms of being born into the religious faith that is Islam, I wasn't blessed with that. I was born into a Roman Catholic, sort of Roman Catholic household. Not super religious, but I did have to go to religious instruction classes from first grade to eighth grade, and I did all those sacraments. So to the Muslims that were born into Islam, that's incredible. Like, that's amazing that you were able to have that foundation when you were born. I wasn't privileged to be born into a Muslim household. So that being said, because of the way I look and me coming from America and me coming from New York, it's obvious that my focus is, of course, sharing my ideas with fellow Muslims, of course, but my obvious main focus is to expose the Christians and the Americans who are a little more secular or liberal to some of our ideals. So me saying Muslim, which it's genuinely innocent. That's just, I'm an American. I'm still learning the pronunciations of things. My first 3 or 4 videos, I was saying takia instead of takiya, because I'm American. Duh. The way I read it was takia. It was just takia, right? And of course, maybe there's a world where I should have Googled and found a fellow Muslim who could teach me how to say it. But that just shows how authentic and genuine I am. If I was sharing my ideas on takia and I wasn't even saying it with the correct pronunciation. So not only am I showcasing the genuine path and journey that I'm on, even I said for zakat, I hope I'm saying that right, I was saying 2%, it's actually 2.5%. And I genuinely, I knew it was 2.5, but I forgot to add the 0.5 when I was speaking. When I'm on a stream of consciousness, I just said 2%, but it's 2.5%. That's another example. So with Islam, something else for you guys to keep in mind is that the majority of the people I'm speaking to say Islam. They say Islam. So there are some people, if I say Islam, it might take a second for them to even know what I'm talking about. Just like when I started getting into this world, and thank God I found it. The way Muslim-born people who have the Arabic tongue already is home to them, the way you guys say Quran, it sounds like a different thing. It doesn't sound like you're speaking about Quran, because the word sounds a little different, because there's something in the throat, pause, that I'm not capable of doing right now. And perfect example of that is I have a bunch of people who are my friends in New York. When Arabic speaking people say Quran, they say, what's that? When they say Quran the proper way, Quran, I can't even do it. I sound like an idiot. I can't do it. A lot of people or peers or just American New Yorkers, they think it's a different thing than Quran, because the way it's pronounced, it sounds different, right? There's a throat thing. So part of this is also, I'm speaking to people who are at this level where they've only heard Islam, Muslim. That's how they've heard it, so that's how they know it. And much like the prophets, which you Muslim-born people should know, the prophets have always come from their people. So people in New York, in America, in the West, if they know it as Islam, then they're more likely to listen to me because I'm speaking their language, right? So this person, multiple people, but there was one specific person, I'll say some nice, I won't be mean because she's Muslim, her making fun of me and saying she said I could say socialism, but I can't say Islam. That doesn't take away from, like, my pronunciation or lack thereof doesn't take away from the message at all. So, and again, it's been multiple people, but that one was just really, really funny, where she put Islam in quotes and then a picture of no, keep going, where it's like, you totally didn't listen to what I said. You were focused on the pronunciation. And then after I responded saying, yo, I'm American, that doesn't take away from the message that I'm sharing, which is socialism isn't permissible in Islam. And then again, she said, yeah, but you could say socialism, but you have to say Islam. Only Islamophobes and Zionists say it that way. So yeah, but clearly I'm not one of those, because if you watch the video and maybe one or two other ones, you would see I'm so pro-Islam that I've given up my dreams of being a musician and being an artist in general, because this was the calling and this was what was right and what was permissible in Islam. And because I have the proper skill set and the proper focus and other characteristics I possess from God, of course, this is what I decided to do. So to the multiple people critiquing the way I pronounce certain things, it's part of the journey. So to erase my message because the words don't sound the way you want them to sound, how's this for pronunciation? F you. Did I pronounce that right? I'll say it again. F you. Because this is where I'm at in my journey. I'm still risking everything. I could lose everything with some of the stuff I'm saying. You know, I'm not big yet, so I'm not going to pretend, you know, tomorrow I'll be canceled or lose shit that I have in my life. But I'm still revealing things that they don't want revealed, especially from someone who looks like me, who knows the things I know within music industry, acting industry.
You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
You don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is. Right? Seriously, the time is up.
Fashion industry, in politics. Because aside from this, I'm in the political world now, doing something else entirely. So, like, to overlook all that because I said Islam, so yeah, f you. F you, bro. All of you guys. All that being said, now we got all that out of the way, I wanted to quickly go over Venezuela. You see that, I can pronounce that way, or Maduro, right? Because I don't speak Spanish, but I'm from a Spanish household. So like those, like the rolling of the R is a little more home to me because I grew up with that. You know, much like, again, the Arabic speakers, a lot of you guys who speak any form of Arabic and then Quranic Arabic, you guys grew up in a household where those sounds and those pronunciations aren't alien to you. Duh. But yeah, all that being said, yeah, Venezuela, there's a balanced take. Balanced take is Maduro, the president of Venezuela, he already conceded and wanted to give America the gold and the oil. And the deal was he would, you know, relinquish his power in a few years as they pivot their government towards a government aligned with America and not a government aligned with China and BRICS. And Marco Rubio and some of the other politicians involved in the Venezuela deal, they denied it. Rick Gurnell, I think his name is. Rick Gurnell and Marco Rubio denied the deal. Because Marco Rubio, it has like a vendetta against communism and socialism because his parents are from Cuba. And he just wants to take over Venezuela, Cuba, and Colombia. So if Maduro already offered a deal to have America come in again, because I think they kicked out ExxonMobil and some of the other gas companies, like we had a deal. We didn't have to bomb. You know, I think as of now, I didn't look as of this morning, because this is the morning right now. Innocents died in those bombings in Venezuela, and I don't even know if they have the numbers yet, as of now. So like innocents died. We captured a sitting president and his wife, and then like, you know, confiscated them to New York after he was willing to work with America and give us a deal, you know? So on the one hand, I agree, we can't have someone in our backyard aligned with the enemy, you know? With the enemy that is China, you know, BRICS, China, Russia, etc., Iran. So I understand that there's a threat that, you know, on that side of things with America, you know, to America. But on the same time, like, you know, obviously it's like, that's insane that they could just go in there and kidnap him. You know, like that's like, if this was a movie, you'd be like, oh my God, like it's fucking dope. But this is like real life, bro. So you have these people who are like the war on narco-terrorism, which they changed the name of terrorism to be able to do this based on American doctrine. But you had all these people who are like, oh yeah, Trump is going to end all the wars. He's the president of peace, blah, blah, blah. But then what the fuck is this? All those same people were tweeting the American flags when this happened. It's like, bro, like like, we had a deal, bro. We had the deal, you know? So he's already conceded and he's already down, yo, I'm going to relieve myself of power. That was my bad. You know, I shouldn't have aligned myself with China and Russia. I'll get out in a couple of years. Here's the gold. Here's the oil. Let's make something work. And, America's an empire. So on the one hand, okay, I understand you want the oil. There's a deal to be made there where Venezuelans can still feed off of that how much rich oil they're sitting on. I think Venezuela is the number one on the Western Hemisphere in terms of oil. So there's like a healthy way to coexist with that. So for America to just big bro, I'm sorry, not big bro, for America to little bro Venezuela on that way, it opens the door for a lot of weaponization of little broing other people. And it sort of goes into the whole thing of like might is right that they've been saying. So at the same time, these same like nationalist Americans, these patriots, mostly white nationalists, they're the same people complaining of the browning of America and a lot of these immigrants and these third worldists coming in and taking our public resources, right? Healthcare but might is right. So if they're coming in and exploiting the system, right, and you're allowing it, or your government is allowing it, then might is right. There's more of them than you. They're more powerful than you. So this is what happens. I'm not saying it's right, right? That's not my opinion. That's just objectively the facts, which is there are 40 to 60 million illegal immigrants in America, and they are taking the space within healthcare and within social programs that Americans should have. So if that has only continued and gotten worse over the last 20 or 30 years, then might is right. They're stronger than you. So what are you going to do? This is just what's going to happen. You're going to be a minority in your own country. So you can't be like pro this Venezuela situation, but then at the same time be anti when it happens to you. That's not how this works. There needs to be consistency across the board. So on the one hand, of course, stuff that's happening in our backyard, yeah, like we need to be careful because we don't live in an idealistic world, bro. So there are countries out there that are looking to hurt America and to destabilize, American society. So Venezuela is super close to us. We don't have an ocean between us and them like we do Africa, Middle East, and Europe, and beyond, and Asia. So, like, I get how that could be a threat, but there's a way to do it without weaponizing this to the point where now we've just opened the door for other countries to do this on the smaller scale or on the larger scale. And I just think it's like murky water to start pushing buttons in this way. I think that despite believing that we should showcase our strength, there's a way to do it where we're still respectful of people's lives and people's well-being. Now you have this guy Maduro in New York City right now with his wife, and like now that's regime change. So now us as Americans, not only do we have to deal with our money going to stabilize this country, hopefully, God willing, inshallah, stabilizes it, but also it's now our responsibility to take care of these people, and which is not going to happen. And now we're going to control a regime, and now we're going to have people soldiers stationed there, and who knows what's going to come from that. Not only that, but people don't remember that in Donald Trump's first term, he's the one that put sanctions on Venezuela to destabilize them the first time. So that's not saying Maduro is a great person. I don't believe in socialism, like I've said. That's not permissible in Islam in any way. The ideology that is socialism, but Donald Trump is the one that put sanctions on Venezuela and destabilized them, and that's why we had millions of Venezuelans come in, especially in New York. They're all over. So you guys can't complain about that fact when it's Donald Trump's fault in the first place in his first term to have destabilized the country where now they had to come here, much like America does everywhere in the Middle East as well and places in Africa. You destabilize their countries and now they come here. They have nowhere else to go. You've destroyed their country. So now Venezuela has given us all these people because of Donald Trump's first term, and then now we're doing it again. So Venezuela was desperate. right? Maybe they felt in that paradigm, yo, we have to go to Russia and China because we can't do this on our own because America's has fucked up any prosperity we could have, and then they let go of millions of people to come here, and who knows where else? I'm sure they're in a bunch of other countries too. And now we did it again. What do you think is going to happen? These poor people have to go somewhere, bro. So there's a balanced take on it without being super white nationalist, and then without being like super idealistic where we just don't understand why America is the empire it is. It's like this is just the way the world works. This is just how the world works. If you don't project your dominance, you get dominated. That's the way the world works. Whether I agree with it or not, or I fuck with it or not, means nothing. That's the way the world works, right? So there is a level of responsibility that I have to let go of because this is how government works. This is how an empire works. But at the same time, there are ways that it can be done where it is still at least some sort of virtuous, bro. Not kidnapping this guy. And now Venezuela's at the mercy of us in America, and now our taxes need to go to this. But yeah, those are some of my thoughts. Again, my name is Jovian. Excuse the Squidwardness, or if I sound more masculine, which I doubt, but if I sound more masculine dope, then then it is what it is. But yes, this is Crescent Cross Covenant Coalition. Thank you guys if you got to this point, and smash the follow button, smash the like button, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم